Hi everybody, welcome back. It's getting to the end, the end of fabrication work. That's it. That's not the end of the car. I mean, it's like, you have to remember the major fabrication work is probably, some people say it's, what was it? 80% of it takes 20% of the time, and the 20% take 80% of the time. It might be with this, but hopefully not. Because most of the stuff I'm trying to get in here will be, I'm going to have this video on the back of the car, and then we're going to have another one that goes into the cabin again. I'm not really sure if I'm going to do the clutch yet, but it'll probably be either the electrics or the clutch. I mean, it's all the same thing because the clutch is just, cutting out and putting in a plate. That's all it is. Because everything else fits right up where you're going to have it. But that's beside the point. Let's get on to doing this. Let me show you what I'm going to have to put in here to make everything work, and actually have a car that if it does break down, I can fix myself on the side of the road to a point. So all right, let's get to it. Here's all the stuff that we're going to be putting into the back of the Sport Quattro. We have a spare tire. This spare tire is an oddball size because it came on the Quattros. I believe it came on the 5000s also. I'm not really sure. I think they did, but I'm not sure. But I pulled this one out of my car. Right now we have this right here. This is a toolkit. Has the wrenches and all that, and the screwdriver and jack and all that stuff that'll work with this car. Fantastic. We have the battery tray for the battery box. The battery tray came out of the 5+5 as a donor. I cut this out initially, to get all the stuff inside there, just to get it out. So I'm going to be reusing this in the back of the car. This cover right here came from a 1991 Coupe Quattro 20 valve that I have. It covers the battery inside the engine compartment. I'm going to use this on this. I mean, I have to use my plastic welder to repair it, but it has the four rings of torture right here, and it'll go over the battery. And I think, all right, I think that'll look pretty cool. It'll look kind of stock, at least I think it will, hopefully. Other than that, I think the battery tray and the battery box is going to be the hardest thing to do. So let's start with that. Let's come over to the rear of the Sport, and let's look in there and let's see how we're going to make it fit. We're now in the back, and the first thing we're going to be doing is putting the battery in the car. I want it on this side. Why is that? Because the driver is on the left, and if you don't have a passenger in the right, you want as much weight counteracting the weight and balance of the car. You want the battery is the heaviest section or heaviest piece to be putting in this car, as in here in the back trunk, besides the fuel tank. Fuel tank's light, but the fuel in it is going to be heavy, but it's centralized. Okay, now that we got that taken care of, I'm putting it over here, and I want to use this battery box cover. This is from the 90 Coupe Quattro. What it is, it goes right here, and take a look. It looks like it should be there. I mean, people, you're asking me, why are you doing it this way? Because I remember the Mercedes, my mother had a 107 chassis, 380 SL, and they had the battery in the box with a nice cover on it. It's just like, I always liked that. I mean, even though I'm not a big fan of Mercedes, I always liked that piece. Now, what we have here is, the first thing we have to do is, before putting the battery box in the water, we have to build a frame for this, because this thing has locking clamps right here, so we just have to build a frame for this. So let's go over there. I brought some metal from the old pile, and I'll show you, and we'll start designing up and building the frame for this, so we can put it on the battery box, weld it to the battery box, and then install the battery box. If you got that. All right, let's go over to the bench. Well, we're here at my makeshift table. What I do is I got some cardboard, and I got to make this side first. So I have to pretty much go to here, go straight across, because it's going to be a box, and that's what I want. Because we got to trim it off, but I'm going to make it bigger than most. So let me just make sure I can cut this thing correctly, and then we can get this curves set up. There. That fits pretty nice on both sides. What I want to do, this is just the outside template right here. I have to transfer it over to there with both templates and add a good centimeter or a half an inch, centimeter to 13 mils, almost a half an inch, so I can have a wraparound for the clips to hold on to. So let me first put those over there. I'll take the tools, I'll cut them out. We'll start with that, and this is just going to be this right here. So I'll bend that up, cut that up, and make that work. And then the bottom, I have to get these in first before I even think about doing the bottom. So let's just first make these, and then we'll get to the rest of it. What I did here was I added about 10 to 13 mil, about a half inch right there, half inch onto this side. And I think I lucked out because this thing basically is probably a 1/4 inch. I got a 1/4 inch gap, so I just have to use that to go nice and easy. Cut it, just cut the long stuff with that. And I'll use the whiz wheel just to trim it and get it this way. And the reason why I did this right there, this section goes onto the body. I did this section goes onto the body. So I already have a lip where I can weld down to it. At least that's what my plan is. Whether or not it works is another thing. There's one side. And if you ever lose this clip right here, same thing as a 914 airbox. 73. All right, let's do the top portion of it. This goes to the chassis. I'm just going to use this piece of metal right here because it just fits right in. Now let's make the last part. And now for the last bit, before we put the actual battery box in there, more shelving that we have, or what was it? Drafting table material. That's it. I'm just going to make something to accept into here, then we'll start fitting everything. I think that's that. Let's go get the battery tray. Here's the battery box from the 5+5. As you can see right here, goes right in. We have plenty of metal to weld, and we can slice off all the excess. One thing that I'm running into that I look at it going, okay, if I'm going to all this trouble, I don't want to be stuck with having to have the same battery. Take a look at this. This is a standard size battery that the Audis had, you know, Quattros, 4000s, all that. You know, it's just a basic standard battery. But seeing how we have the battery all the way into the back of the car, into the boot or trunk or whatever you want to call it, I want to have a possibility if I need a bigger battery, which I don't think I will, but I want a bigger battery so I can run more juice to the starter. So what's this? If you can see this, the battery box is about, if I go right here, it's about, you know, roughly 2 inches smaller in the capacity than I could have for a battery in here. So what am I going to do? Well, I'm going to keep this side to keep, you know, so I don't have to fabricate another portion. And I'm going to cut this side right here, and I'm going to fold it out and see where it meets up there, and then I'm going to trim the metal and weld it into that. So I can have the biggest battery I could possibly have, or I can move down. I mean, it doesn't really matter. As long as I have the expansion possibilities, we don't have to go back and redo it. That's a big thing. So let me get the color and my glasses on, and I'm just going to slice that up, and we were going to, I'll start having to think tacking this thing up. All right, let me just do that. Well, here's the box now. The only good thing about having, this is cracked right here, and it's cracked right here, I gotta fix that, is that I pounded this up and down to make sure this crack doesn't expand out, so there's no stress, so when I fix it, hopefully it won't break. Let's go to the trunk, let me put it inside, let me show you where it's gonna be, and then we'll start on the spare tire. Where the spare tire mount's gonna be, and the toolkit. Don't know which one I'm gonna do first, but we'll get there eventually. I think that's kind of cool. It's going to go right there. Remember I made this top portion where it fits in? Well, it's too small. I got to make something a little bit bigger. But I'm going to hold off on that because that's just one piece that I have to weld in. But I got to weld in all this other stuff and grind it and plate it before I do that, because I think this box is going to be removable. I'm going to probably have a couple bolts in there. I'm not really sure yet, but I like where it sits. Let's do the, what are we going to do next? Well, let's put the spare tire in. Let's have it make that. Here's what I got for the spare tire. You're probably asking, what is it from? Well, this is from my 1983 UR Quattro is what it's from. You know, the thing is, I used to have like 4 of these, and I only found 1. I don't know where the rest of them went. I don't know. But that's beside the point. I can just swap them. I'll take it out of here, put it in the Quattro if I drive that, you know, just swap them around. But what are we going to use to mount it? Well, take a look at this. This is on how I built it, how well this will fit. Check this out. What do you think? Better to be lucky than good. All right. We have it there. The only problem I foresee with the spare tire there is it's going to be kind of hard to get the bulbs out when they burn out on the tail lamps. But it's going to be fairly easy to pull out because what I'm going to use is the mounting system from the Coupe GT that this thing came from. Here it is. This thing goes in here. I got to trim that up, weld it to that plate or that door thing, and it goes like that and holds the thing in. So we're going to change the bulb. We're going to spin it out, pull the tire. We should be okay. Let me pull this tire back out. Let me trim that up, and we will get on to fabricating that mount into here so we can secure the tire. Oh, to get that plug out, just push these little tabs right in, slides right out. The inner wheel, support structure is roughly 5 inches from this hub center. Now, if you go right to the end of the, where the fenders actually are, it's 11 inches. What we have here is if we have 5 inches, because this is where it actually sits and rests, 5 inches to that point is basically almost in the middle of all the threads. So what we'll do, I will trim that up and weld it in between here at an angle, so when the thing goes in, it should be fine. So let me clean that up, chop off what I need, and we'll put it in here. It's not going anywhere. Let's put the toolkit in. All right, this is the last thing we need to install into the trunk. What it is, this is the toolkit. We have the battery and there's no room on the spare tire over there. And because I want to put more weight over on this side anyway to balance everything out. Also, take a look at the shape. If I put it over on this side, up inside here, this cutout allows me to change all the bulbs and the lights. And if I go up tight to this C-pillar right here, the bottom of the C-pillar, it gives me tons of room to get at the battery and to change it and all that stuff, and it won't be in the way. Two good things right there. So how am I going to mount it? Most people would do, oh, you got to do a ratchet strap? No. Take a look at this. This right here, it's like that before I drilled out the spot weld. You know what this is from? That bar. That bar from the Subaru, this held the passenger airbag inside that, on that bar. And what I do is I took it apart because, it's pretty heavy duty, pretty thick metal. I pulled the toolbox out and it conforms to the bottom of the toolbox. I said, no, it does. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to clean that up right now. I'm going to clean this up and I'm going to weld it to it, and then I'm going to probably just use just a rubber strap, bungee type cord or whatever, just to secure it in so it doesn't rattle around. But this should keep all the weight. So let me go get my stuff on so I can grind up all that, and we will install that and finish up with everything that needs to be put inside the truck. What do you think? I think it looks kind of cool. Wow. What do we got? We got the battery box done. I don't know whether or not I'm going to be welding it in or bolting it or making mounts to bolt it in. Don't really know. I'm kind of leaning towards welding, but what I want to do now is seeing how I got this, the spare tire, all that stuff in. All of this stuff right here, I got to weld. I got to finish all the welds around here. And seeing how I'm still thinking about the battery box, I'm going to just grind and cut and weld everything, and that'll make me think. And I'll start plating everything, which is all pretty minor. At least I think it is. But let me first get my gear on, start grinding and welding. I'm going to pull all this stuff out, and then after I get that done, we'll come back, and hopefully it's really quick for you guys, because if I can edit it down enough, it's going to take me a day. It's going to take you about a minute and a half. All right, let me pull up this stuff, get my gear on, and I'm going to just start cutting up and trimming up and making this stuff presentable. All right, let's go. looks like that's it. Pretty much it's welded up, you know. Let me go over there. I'm going to grab the battery box and let's see if I still haven't thought about whether or not I'm going to be bolted. You know what? I think I'm going to just bolt it in. Screw it. I'm going to just bolt it in. You know, that way I can take it out, and when I paint the chassis, I can definitely get into all these nooks and crannies. So let me build a mount for that. We'll come back, we'll install that, and call the episode. That's where the battery box is going to sit. I'm going to make a mount to bolt it in. What's my first consideration? My consideration is when I bolt something to the battery box, the battery sits on top of it. You can see this indentation right here. They did this for strength. I'm going to have to put bolts inside here. Why is that? Is because if you have a bolt head up and the battery sits on it and moves around a little bit, it could create a hole in the battery and have it leak out. And that's not a good thing. I also measured this. About the only bolts that I can put in here that are going to go underneath these ridges where the battery will not contact it will be an M6, which is fine. You know, the Mark III battery boxes are held in with 3 M6s anyway. So if I hold this in with 2, I think we're going to be good to go. And I might drill one here and put a M6 in there, but I'm not really sure yet. That's going to be down the line. But let me first show you what I'm going to do for the mount. More Eurovan seat. I am bound determined to use up that Eurovan seat. You know, one of the greatest gifts of all. Let me just start trimming it out. I'm going to put this in here, then drill right there where I'm going to have the bolts. So drill it in here, and then we can put this in and weld it in. So I'm going to weld the nuts on the back just for captures. That's pretty much it. So let me get my arm on, and we will cut that up and make it work. Battery box. The cover is, this is kind of what I wanted, to cover it out. I really wasn't know how I was going to do it, but I can remove the battery box when I paint everything. I got my toolkit in there and I have my spare tire in there. And the fuel tank all fits, everything. I'm pretty happy with it. It's really coming along. And what's the next thing on it? I'm down to like 2 things to go before I stop doing this car and head on to the Audi rally car. One is I gotta fit the gas filler door over here, and I had to cut the fender and bring back where it's supposed to be. That's, you know, fairly simple, and I gotta do a little bit of body work over there, and then I gotta install the fuse box and figure out where all the electrics are, because you know when you run your electrics, if you need like a small plug or a small like M6 stud that you need to weld onto the chassis for a good ground, I want to weld it in now before I paint everything, you know, and primer everything. So that's, you know, I got to put that in. I got to weld in the fuse box also where it's going to go, and I'll show you what I'm going to use. And then that's pretty much will be the end of this until spring, before I can get enough heat in the air that I can bond the fenders. But other than that, hopefully next time we'll be more fitting the quarters over here and do some other small stuff, and then get onto electric and call it and go on over to the other one. But I'm not really sure. But thank you very much for showing up. I mean, it's getting there. it's getting there, you know, and I'm pretty happy about it. But other than that, remember, you can do this. None of this is special. It's just a bunch of stuff you just I can wall it in. That's it. You know, it is what it is. You know. But thanks very much for showing up. I really appreciate it. And I hope you come back again when I get this thing all painted or when I finish up the rest of the stuff. So thank you very much from the hillbilly from New Hampshire. Building a Ford Quattro. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you very much. Have a good day. Bye now.